I thought I would try something a bit different in this video, so welcome to the first review on my channel. If you have any comments, please do leave them below, and if you would like to keep up with any of my content, make sure to click the subscribe button. I've always been intrigued by extraction games, but whenever I've dipped my toe in, I have found the reality doesn't live up to the version I had in my head. Enter Nightmare Frontier, a game that looks to marry the mechanics of the extraction genre with turn-based tactics, and has just come out in early access on Steam. Let's get the basics out of the way first. Nightmare Frontier is a turn-based tactics game set in an alternative 1900s America that sees you control a team of scavengers that set out on an expedition across a Slay the Spire type map. You choose which node to go to next. Most of the time it will involve a combat scenario, but you will also be able to recruit new units, acquire powerful weapons, and new abilities that last for a set number of battles. Combat takes place in small, self-contained arenas and combines two gameplay elements from developers Ice Code Games' previous titles. Firstly, they have incorporated the push mechanic from Rogue Waters, which causes attacks to push enemies. If they hit another enemy, object, or the walls of the arena, they will take an additional point of damage for each one of these they hit. The other mechanic they introduce is Overcoming, pulled from Hard West 2. This ability gives a scavenger another turn after killing an enemy. These mechanics, alongside the various weapons and throwables you get, mean that combat arenas turn into small puzzles as you work out how you can use everything at your disposal to kill as many enemies as possible, if not all of them, in one turn. To help with this, you are given an undo button, which can undo every action up to the turn start. This is where a large part of the joy of Nightmare Frontier is found. Overcoming in particular feels great to pull off, with a little animation and audio sting playing when the ability fires off. And the game makes you feel very smart when you manage to clear a whole area in one turn. Being an extraction game, you are here to do more than just kill enemies though. After every fight, you will be rewarded with some currency, usually a piece of equipment if that was what the reward for that node was, and more valuable upgrade materials as you progress further into the game. As you would expect, you only get to keep what you have scavenged if you manage to extract successfully. On the map, there will be a few extraction points that, if used, will allow you to leave with all the spores you have collected. However, if everyone dies, you lose everything you have collected, but keep any members of your original scavenger team and their equipment. This makes death not too punishing, which is good, especially early on as you start off fairly weak. As you carry out successful expeditions, you will be able to upgrade your weapons to make them more powerful. Nightmare Frontier does a smart thing here, as the upgrades are not flat damage. Instead, upgrades will augment the weapon so that it does something else. For instance, the rifle can be upgraded with a bayonet, so that now you can hit two enemies who are next to each other and attack in melee from a square away. Each weapon has their own unique ability, with rare weapons being even more powerful. There is also a resting mechanic, whereby scavengers who do not take part in a successful raid will gain 2 extra hit points, making them stronger for the next expedition. Upgrading and finding stronger weapons out on your expedition will allow you to venture further and push your luck that little bit more. However, there is a cost to longer expeditions, as there is a mechanic called Nightmare Pressure, which is a gauge that affects the type of enemies you face. The higher the gauge, the more numerous and more powerful the enemies you face. If this gauge ticks up mid-fight and it hits one of the 3 thresholds, then a new powerful enemy will spawn in the current arena. The Nightmare Pressure gauge does not tick up on its own. Some enemies will increase the gauge on their turn if they don't attack, and every scavenger has a fear associated with them. If they arrive in an arena with an enemy that corresponds to that fear, the gauge will tick up. This Nightmare Pressure persists between runs, with each expedition area having its own gauge. During a run, there will be nodes that reduce Nightmare Pressure, but visiting these nodes will reduce the amount of resources and equipment you will be able to scavenge. The way this played out for me is that I would spend an expedition focusing on getting equipment and resources, and the next I would focus on reducing the Nightmare Pressure as much as possible. All these various mechanics work well together and manage to create that feeling of tension that extraction games bring, whilst providing a different play experience with the puzzle-like turn-based tactics, which is where the game really shines. You quickly get into the rhythm of thinking about how much further you want to push. Can I make it to the next extraction point? Or do I want to leave now because I have found a new powerful weapon? Maybe I want to try the new tier of expeditions as the rewards are greater, but perhaps my team isn't quite ready for that yet. There are a few minor issues with this early access version of the game. Equipping your team feels unnecessarily clunky. You are chopping and changing team members regularly due to the buff rested scavengers get, and you want to make sure they are equipped with the best weapons. This requires you to unequip all the scavengers you have just used and then re-equip all the new team members. Adding to this pain is an inventory that feels a bit too hard to navigate. The current filters are not quite enough to make it easy to search through for the pieces of equipment you want. The other area that could use some work is the music. There is one piece of music that plays during battles, and it wore on me fairly quickly, which led to me turning the music off. It's not a major thing, but some variety here would be nice. Outside of these niggles, I've only experienced one bug so far, which has caused the game to crash, which isn't ideal, but after many hours of play, to have only come across one major bug is good going, and shows how polished this early access release is. Nightmare Frontier is the first extraction game that I've enjoyed. The mix of turn-based tactics with extraction mechanics works really well and sits alongside the excellent combat design that Ice Code Games have perfected over multiple titles. There is a very strong base here, and looking at their roadmap, it looks like they're going to build on it to create an even better game. What is here in the early access release though is already a lot of fun and well worth checking out.